judge, pay, or whatever, just whatever they gave her to do, she could do it, and she did it so well. And she always looks so beautiful, the same way she does right now.
We did an episode, it was called The Quilt. This time, she cried. And I teared up now because one of the things that I can remember in that show, it was her presence was just there. You know, and she cried, and I cried. It was really
You had to bring your A game with them. These were these were great performers. You know, so you see some kids on there, they're just cute, but you have to, they require that you actually they have to be talented. You can't just show up, no. Come on, baby, you got to, look, come on, Joe, what you say?
You have to be on time. You know, if they give you if you're being hired by somebody and they expect you to go and, and study your lines and everything, your mom, or you have to fix your food or somebody else fix it, you come and just be ready. You know that we have to do is show them their hair should be shampooed, you know what I mean? And the guys know, the Reginald, I told them, if you've got something you need to be bathed and shaved and ready, because hair and makeup don't have time to go there and wash your hair so they can put the iron on and do all that kind of stuff. There's certain things that you have to learn to do as far as protocol in order to be a professional. That's what we call people.
You're a good actor, but
yeah, but
you
have to be
spell
on
funny.
time. And if you're on time and your chemistry is right in your head, this thing will pick is right. When I teach my kids, I teach performance. I don't teach acting because some people you don't need teaching anything, they're just naturally gifted at it. But performance, sometimes you have to teach a person how to perform, And so when I do, and I tell them, I said, listen, they say, well, how do you remember things? I said, you remember things that you learn. If you learn it, if you really learn it, you won't forget it. You learn how to actually, when we get our scripts, we get the scripts on Mondays, when we do the show, we get Friday night. And then you don't commit it to memory. I would try not to commit it. I tell them, don't actually commit it to memory until just before, the day before, or a few hours before you actually have to do it, because we get a lot of rewrites. And I have a lot of scripts you do too, pink and yellow and green, because every time you rewrite something, it comes in a different color. And you got to go back and check. They'll highlight sometimes the lines that they change. And so don't lock it in, because it's easier to remember something than it is to forget it. Well, forget it, vice versa, forget it. So I would tell them, don't lock it in. But if you know the story, we sit down every first day and we read the script. We know what's going to happen in that show. So if you paid attention, and everybody does, we sit down in a circle, and you know what that show is about. Even if you don't get it word for word verbatim, you know what that action is. You know when you moved over to that chair, you went over to say, oh, I just love this beautiful pink purple. Is that pink purple, guys? You have I just love that. See, so if you're doing that scene, and you know that that's when you make your move, even if you don't, you say, oh, girl, I love that jacket. Now, those were not the lines, but you're still selling the scene. You see what I'm saying? And also, when you know the story, if you know what's happening, you will remember it. And that's what I teach my kids. Remember. Even the smallest kids will come, and I say, okay, bring my kids, bring in me a greeting card from your grandma, your aunt, somebody that you really love, that you kept. If you kept that greeting card, bring it to me. So first day of class. Call up a little girl, and I say, read yours. She says, well, when I was a baby, like the card said, when you were a baby, the sun was shining and the sky was so blue and the air was filled like vanilla beans. She read the other stuff. I said, okay, put that. What did that card say? She said, I don't know. I said, yes, you do. Go back. What did it say? Well, it said, when I was born, what happened when you was born? Well, she said the sun was bright and what else? The sky was blue. And what else? It smelled like vanilla beans. I said, yeah, see, you can remember. If you know it, you visualize it, you see it, you smell it, you feel it, you remember it. It's just like we still know the Pledge of Allegiance. I learned it when I was 6 years old. I still know the national anthem. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light? I still know it because I learned it. But with us, we function on short-term memory. So we got to learn it real quick, and then we got to dump it. Then we got to learn the other script, then we got to dump it. The magic is we know each other so well. We know each other's chemistry so well. I know what he's going to say before it comes out of his mouth. So I can stop his little time before he sees it. He'll say, Harry, I say, hush, now. That's where you connect. try to get your kids to learn things, you know? Tell them, say, learn, where you learning? What did it smell like? Where were you? What time of day was it? What color was it? That's how you remember things when you learn it. That's how you remember people when you learn who they are. And that's why you remember, even if you only saw them for one time, there's some people you'll be in your life, it'll be the only time you'll be in your life, but you'll always remember them. And there's some people that's always at your front door, and you don't want to know nothing about them. Okay? No, but up to you.
There's always somebody at our front door.
I didn't always want to let him in. But we love him too, contrary to everything and anything you say, you know. He is not a part of anything that we do. We love him too. And I always will. Let me just say, I won't say we, I say, and I always will. And I know you guys hear all kind of things. And yes, sometimes you bump heads and things, but I will always love him. He was always a child to me. And I don't care how old he gets, he still will be a child to me. He was a baby when he came. And to me, no matter how old he gets, he'll still be a baby. And I forgive everything because I have that kind of heart, you know, and to get past stuff. And all because life brings a lot of things with it. And sometimes you have to learn to just deal with life and just keep it moving. Keep moving. That's right.
He had a lot to deal with. You know, when he was a little kid, he came to the show, and he had to grow, because we were all established as a family and as friends and whatnot. He came in to the group and had to introduce himself. It took maybe a year before we really got to know him, and you know, he got to know us. But we love him, and sorry he's not here, but he's a special person, I think.
And people would always ask me, they say, you know, the show started with you and everything, and then he took over. It's the same thing happened on Happy Days. What happens? Same thing happened to me, whether they remember it or not. Same thing happened to me on Perfect Strangers. I was on Perfect Strangers, and I had a long contract in Bronson Pinchot and Martin and Baker, and their contracts were 5 years old. Time my Bob gave me a 7-year deal. And then they spun my character off. And there were a couple of people on Perfect Strangers that weren't too happy about that. So just like I jumped out of Perfect Strangers, they know who they are. Just like I jumped out of Perfect Strangers, he jumped out of Family Matters. It happens like that sometimes. But you know what I used to tell the reporters? I say, when you're headed to the moon, you don't give a good cahoot who's driving the ship. If you're heading to the moon, you're heading to the moon. We went to the moon. That's why 30 some odd years later, we're still here. Because we had to make things.
Let me tell you something, babe. I know you can tell this family like to talk, but you better get in here. You're supposed to be moderating. You look like you out there.
I am a little bit. I'm a little bit letting into that.
But no, it's so fun listening to all of you tell these stories. Kellie, I do want to ask, you've been doing a lot of producing in recent years. How has that made things different for you, and how have you kind of taken your experience as a child actor to doing that?
Well, again, this experience was so lovely that we wanted to create other scenarios with the same cast, just in different worlds. So, I mean, we knew we still wanted to work together, so I just wanted to create different vehicles where we could have this again. And so that was my approach initially. It wasn't to, you know, just produce a whole bunch of stuff. It was to get with my friends and really have real moments on camera in different worlds. So, I mean, that was the initial approach, and it just went well. Like, being on camera with Joe again and Darius again, it's been lovely. And now we have the guy who played Waldo. He works behind the scenes with us. It's like a director. He's like, that he's so far away from that character, it's crazy. He's so smart. We just, I feel so corny when I say we just love each other. We're looking to just reconnect and be together again. And so that's initially what I set out to do, is to get the band back together and do it again.
Well, it's been a blast to watch, right?
Yeah. And you know something? Reggie and I, the first project we did together was with Mike. Mike, the trip before Christmas. And we found out that when they were casting these two roles, somebody said, well, we want a Harry and Carl character. And they said, well, then I'm going to get Harry and Carl. So